Hello everyone, and welcome back to the seventh episode of Brilliancies, the Mikhail Tal series. And today we are going to see a game played by Mikhail Tal versus Jon Henderson in 1987. So, if you concentrate on the position on the board that we have, it's Tal to play, and if his counter material is fairly even, Black has a bit of passive position, but equal material, three minor pieces, a rook and a queen. So a lot of material still on the board, and let's see what Tal finds here for White. Now, for those who want to find this move by themselves, you can pause the video. This is the correct moment. And for those who want to just enjoy Tal's brilliancy, here it is. So basically, in this position, Tal actually plays the move rook to c5. And this is a much more, what you can say, poisonous and deadly move as it gets. Because first of all, there are a lot of questions for black here. First of all, why can't you take the rook? Simple. First option. Then what happens for bishop takes knight? And the third, that is the move that actually Jon played in the game. And let's see how Tal counters that move too. So first come first, let's see what happens for d captures on c5. First of all, yeah, this is a free rook. Whenever your opponent is sacrificing some material, we have to first check what happens if you accept it. So if d captures on c5, then comes knight f captures on e5. And this bishop is attacked, but believe me or not, this bishop is not defendable. So because if you move the bishop something like bishop c8, then comes knight to d7 with a check, discover check from the queen, and you lose your queen on b6 and the game, of course. So you can't move the bishop. And same is the case if you try to defend it. For example, if knight to f6, then comes knight captures on d7. You're not only attacking the queen, but also this knight is pinned because the queen is spinning the knight. So that is just a free piece for white. And this game can continue with something like queen to a6, knight captures on c5, queen a1 check, queen captures, rook captures, king to h2. And this is just, I will still prefer white here because white is completely in control of the position. White is down the exchange, of course, but at what cost? You have two nice passes in the center. The third passer is just one step away after bishop captures on b5. This pawn is also going to be active. And these are two very correctly placed knights, a very active bishop. Whereas if you see black's knight is not doing anything, g4 can very well trap. Of course, it's not possible now because the pawn can end pass, but in future, if possible, white will have ideas like that. So I prefer playing with white pieces here. Of course, white is completely better. So if not this, what else can you do? I mean, there is no other option. There is no other defense for knight captures on d7. So that just means that you can't take the rook on c5 because if pawn captures on c5, knight f captures on e5, and we have seen the other things which happen after in that variation. So if not to take the rook, what else can you do? If you take the knight on c6, then comes rook captures on c6. Now again attacking the queen and also kind of fixing the knight on e8 because now the d6 pawn is also going to be under attack. Also, once the queen moves, let's say queen to a7, the pawn on b5 is again going to be very volatile. And again, this knight captures on e5 is again a very nice threat. For example, if something like queen to b7, then there are lots and lots of tricks. You can even capture rook d6 and then capture queen to e5. So the position is not out of tactics. So of course, Yuan doesn't want to go in this variation. So after rook to c5, he neither takes the rook, he neither takes the knight. He plays a very calm move, queen to a6, and with the idea of just trading of the queens. And once you trade off the queens, he can try to figure out some counterplay. But Tal doesn't give him a chance. Tal plays rook captures on b5. Tal says, well, okay, now you can trade off the queens, but let's say after something like check, queen captures, rook captures, king to h2, the position is still going to favor white because now the p pawn is a passer. These pieces are terribly passive. Rook b7 is the immediate threat. And again, once the rook comes to b7, then this pawn is simply nicely escorted. The queening square also under the control of white. White is completely better here in this position. So Yuan doesn't want to go in this line. So Yuan plays the move knight to c7. He says, "Well, I'm not interested for any queen exchanges here, but I'm at least going to try and dislocate your rook because now the rook is actually pinned. If you move the rook, the bishop is under attack. But this is just an illusion. And let's see how Tal actually takes advantage of this nice discovered attack. Sorry, not this arrow, something like this. Yes, kind of looking as a discovered attack, and Tal takes advantage of it in a very perfect manner. He plays the move rook to b8. And Johan must have considered this move, but not for the what you can say logic you will feel at the first moment. So we feel that okay, rook to b8. Now the queen is under the attack, but the rook is not under the attack because knight is defending the rook. So Johan can simply take queen captures on d3, and it seems that this position is okay. I mean, you just lost the bishop. You can take on e8, but then after knight captures, you will again need to figure out some plan for yourself. But Tal's move rook to b8 was not only to attack the rook, but also to take the entire last rank into control. So Tal basically here, Tal played rook to b8 with the intentions of taking the last rank and attacking the queen at the same time. Because after queen captures on d3, which was played in the game, now this entire last rank is in the control of Mikhail Tal, and so Tal plays the next move. Tal plays knight c captures on e5 here. And what is Tal's plan? Again, if you capture here, which is the only logical move. Of course, Yon played queen d1 check. We will come to that analysis again. But if you capture, then comes queen captures on e5 with a check. And yes, you can very well block with the knight, but now comes queen to e7 with a check, king to h6, queen to f8 with a check, king to h5, and now comes queen captures on f6. Again, a very sharp and tactical continuation whereby, yeah, you can take the rook, you can give a check, but nothing actually works because there is queen g5, queen g5 and queen h4. There are two mating threats, and this king cannot, of course, get out of it. If you go back with this, it doesn't matter, just queen captures on f4 with a check, and yeah, it's just going. If you go here, then queen f8 with a checkmate, and if you go king h5, simply queen to g5 will be a nice little checkmate. So you can't play this variation either. This is a very brutal. So that means that this knight cannot be taken. Well, what else can you do? Your queen is under attack, so you have to move your queen. So one of the lines that was here with queen a3, and now this is not that very fruitful because after queen captures, rook captures, knight captures on d7. This position is kind of equal when you see, but if you see this knight, it's very much misplaced. If you go rook b7, the knight is very it has high chances of getting trapped, or even once white is successful in moving this knight on c7, this pawn is again b5, b6 is just going to come with flow. Even knight d4 to nicely escort the pawn to the queen as well. So, although this position may seem and appear to be equal, it's not because again, this is where piece placement comes into consideration in chess. So you can't ignore the fact that these pieces are much more actively placed than the black pieces. So, and with the passer pawn, it's completely hopeless for black here. So again, this was one of the trials. Jan doesn't go for queen a3. Yuan chooses to go queen d1 with the check. He says, "Well, I will check king to h2," and now Yuan allows this nice little discovered check for Tal by playing rook to a1, and he basically is posing a question in front of Mikhail Tal. And I will not say this is a completely hopeless try because there I will in future also I will show some lines where Tal is bound to blunder. But of course, Tal doesn't make the mistake in the game, but it could have happened if there was some other player in place of Mikhail Tal. So first of all, what do we do in this position? Yuan is threatening queen h1 checkmate, so he's basically asking Tal to act fast and act at the present moment. So which of the checks is correct? Of course, if you see, the rook is covering the 8th rank, so the king has only one escape square. And Tal plays the exact winning move. He plays knight to g4 with a check, taking control of that square and also the f6 square. So if knight f6, you just capture it with the queen. This is a nice little checkmate, so you can't block with the knight. So king to f7 by 1. And now this is the moment. This is a very interesting moment in the game where it was much more possible for Tal to blunder the game completely like by playing knight to g5 with a check. And this move would have been a disaster because after king e7, queen h1 is unavoidable. You don't have surprisingly with 1, 2, 3, 4, I mean 9 and 5, 14 and 6, 20 points of material attacking the black king. The black king still survives because this knight on h5, which was kind of misplaced, is the hero of the position, which controls the g7 and the f6 square. These two knights are completely useless. They cannot check the king, and this rook is also useless because he can't check the king either from the back. So all in all, this is the postmate on white now. and there is no defense that white king can do. The white king is completely helpless here. So, a really ironical thing that Tal can still lose the game by making a single mistake, but Tal, of course, doesn't do it. And Tal finds the absolute best continuation. He says, well, now I'm going to go for knight to h6 with a check. The queen is nicely guarding the f6 and g7 square. The rook is doing its job guarding the 8th rank. And now, after king e7, Tal plays knight g8 with a check. He says, well, okay, now again, I'm going to take the f6 square into control also, and the e7 square into control also. And after king f7, knight to g5 is a nice little checkmate. And that is why after knight to g8 check, you want to resign the game because you should you can allow your opponent to make a brilliancy, but uh, the more you respect your opponent and you just respect him and resign the game. That is the best way out of this. So yeah, after knight to g8, you want to resign, but there is again yet another interesting line, and this is because I'm showing this masterpiece from Tal. There was a line here which I kind of spotted it at my first try, and then I thought it was wrong, but it is correct certainly because this line comes with a different idea. So the line here is a very tactical line. Queen to g7 check, sacrificing the queen. But what is the idea of sacrificing the queen? Of course, the queen has to be taken because there is no move for the king. After knight captures on g7, now you have knight to g8 with a check, king to f7, and now comes knight to g5. So a kind of similar mate, but only like in a much more what you can say tactical, or what you can say just fancy man, because just sacrificing the queen. The main idea of sacrificing the queen was to cover the g7 square, not with the queen, but occupy it with the black's knight. Now the king can't escape to g7, and these two knights nicely control the rest of the board. The e7 square, the e6 square is controlled by the knight and the pawn, and also the rook is covering the last rank very nicely. So all these pieces, black is just having extra material, but it's of no use because the white pieces are doing their job perfectly. So this was a line that could have been possible in the game, but of course, Tal doesn't go for too much complications. This was too much for his opponent already. So after king e7, Tal plays knight g8 check, king f7, and now knight to g5 is with a nice little check uh, for white. So again, the way Tal played that rook c5, rook left, forcing to capture the b5 pawn, then going rook b8, not with the idea of taking on 8, but with the idea of covering the entire last rank. And you will find this game analyzed by a lots of players, because this is one of the games which is taken to study the tactical awareness and also to study the tactical brilliances of Mikhail. This is a very important game in this particular series, and so I felt I have to take this analysis as soon as possible. So I kind of replaced my other analysis that I was actually going to take in the seventh episode. So yeah, again, a nice brilliant checkmates with the knight and the queen and the rook supporting them. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, if you're not following the series, do start following. These are amazing tactical brilliances with Tal. Do subscribe to our channel in order to follow that. And I will be back very soon with the eighth episode, and we will see what more does Tal have to teach us in this world of chess.